Vaishnavad Paramahamsa Parishara Stotra Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Dai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's text 40, I think, yeah. Yeah, you have to change the 39 to 40. Yes. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 9, text number 40. Ya etena puman nityam. Ya etena puman nityam. Stutva stotrena mam bhajet. Stutva stotrena mam bhajet. Tasyasu samprasideyam. Tasyasu samprasideyam. Sarvakama vareshvaraha. Sarvakama vareshvaraha. Ya etena puman nityam. Stutva stotrena mam bhajet. Tasyasu samprasideyam. Sarvakama vareshvaraha. Ya etena puman nityam. Stutva stotrena mam bhajet. Tasyasu samprasideyam. Sarvakama vareshvaraha. Mataji's. Ya etena puman nityam. Stutva stotrena mam bhajet. Sarvakama vareshvaraha. Ya etena puman nityam. Stutva stotrena mam bhajet. Tasyasu samprasideyam. Sarvakama vareshvaraha. Ya etena puman nityam. Stutva stotrena mam bhajet. Tasyasu samprasideyam. Sarvakama vareshvaraha. Word for word translation. Ya, anyone who. Etena, by this. Puman, human being. Nityam, regularly. Stutva, praying. Stotrena, by the verses. Mam, me. Bhajet, may worship. Tasya, his. Asu, very soon. Samprasideyam, I shall fulfill. Sarva, all. kama, desires, Vara Ishvaraha, the Lord of all benediction. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Any human being who prays like Brahma and who thus worships me shall very soon be blessed with the fulfillment of all his desires, for I am the Lord of all benediction. Purport. The prayers offered by Brahma cannot be chanted by anyone who desires to fulfill his own sense gratification. Such prayers can be selected only by a person who wants to satisfy the Lord in his service. The Lord certainly fulfills all desires in regard to transcendental loving service, but He cannot fulfill the whims of non-devotees, even when such casual devotees offer Him the best of prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksurulmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you to everyone for coming to Srimad Bhagavatam class today. So we're coming towards the end of this chapter, which is titled Lord Brahma's Praise for Creative Energy. So we've seen a long series of beautiful prayers offered by Lord Brahma onto the lotus feet of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And now in these last maybe 8-10 verses, we're seeing Garbhodakshaya Vishnu's response after he hears Brahma's prayers. And one thing I was thinking about, as we've been going through these verses in this chapter, how in this particular section of Bhagavatam, we're seeing this wonderful lila or relationship between Lord Brahma, the first living entity, the first living being in the universe, and Vishnu. And the relationship between Brahma and Krishna, or the relationship between Brahma and Vishnu that we're seeing in this section of Bhagavatam, is just like that of a relationship a child has with his parents, with his loving mother and father. And this is something the Shastras and Srila Prabhupada repeatedly emphasize, how the Supreme Lord, Krishna or Vishnu, He is our most loving Supreme Father, and He's also like a Srimati Radharani, she's like a loving mother. And there are Supreme Parents, and in this section we can see the relationship a devotee, how the relationship of a devotee with the Supreme Lord is very similar to that of little children they have with their mother and father. How so? One particular aspect of this relationship we can take is a little child, before he becomes a teenager, any problem he has in his life, what's the first thing the little child will do, a 5-year-old boy or a 5-year-old girl? Anything that happens in life, he'll immediately run to his mother. That this happened to me, and he'll go take shelter of the mother or the father. Before they grow up, become teenagers, when someone is very small and innocent, any problem in their life, they immediately go running towards their parents, and they seek shelter. Just like we see the example of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj was also a 5-year-old boy, and in 4th canto, in the next canto coming up, we see how Dhruva Maharaj, he was trying to climb onto the lap of his father, but his stepmother rejected Dhruva Maharaj, saying that, you can't sit on your father's lap, only my son is allowed to sit. In your next life, only after you give up your body, and in your next life, if you're fortunate enough to take birth from my womb, then only you'll be qualified to sit on your father's lap. So in this way, Dhruva Maharaj, he was very harshly insulted by his mother. And it was so painful for him. Dhruva Maharaj was crying, and he was overcome by so much grief and anger and sorrow. Someone saying that to you when you're 5-year-old, it's so heartbreaking for you. And where does Dhruva Maharaj go? Immediately he runs straight to his mother. So this is the nature of children. Anytime in children's life, any problem comes, any difficulty comes, they immediately run straight to the mother or straight to the parents, and they seek shelter. And that's what we see. Example of Dhruva Maharaj, he's doing. He is overcome by this great grief, and immediately the first thing he does, he goes and runs to his mother, and immediately he tells his mother what has happened. Another example I was reading recently, there's this nice book written by, I think, Jananivas Prabhu or Pankajanya Prabhu, about the glories and the pastimes of Jagannath Baladev Subhadramani in Rajpur. So in Navadvip Dham, in Sumantudvip, the island of Sumantudvip, we have these very famous deities of Jagannath Baladev Subhadramani. And these deities in Sumantudvip, they're said to be non-different than the Jagannath Baladev Subhadramani in Jagannath Puri. So His Grace Pankajanya Prabhu, Jananivas Prabhu, they've compiled this very beautiful book about the glories and the pastimes of these particular deities in Navadvip Dham. And one of the pastimes explained there is how one time a particular young family, they move into this particular island of Navadvip, into Sumantudvip, and they move very close to the temple. And this family, they have a small child. And one day, while the mother's at home doing her household chores, the mother's young child immediately comes running into the house in great grief, crying, his face fully red, and he's crying and crying and crying. And then mother starts asking the child, what happened, what happened, what happened? And the mother is in anxiety, what happened to my child? He's just coming, running into the house, and he's just crying and crying. His face is fully red. Did someone harm him? Did someone beat him? Did a thief try and do something to him? What has happened to my son? So the mother immediately, she goes into great anxiety. And the child, she's just crying and crying and crying in his mother's hands. And then finally the mother calms down the child. And then the mother asks the child, tell me what happened. And then the child explains the story. That today I went to the temple of Lord Jagannath, and I was taking darshan of Lord Jagannath Baladev Subhadramani, and I saw that around Subhadramani's neck there was this beautiful piece of jewelry. And I got very much attracted by that jewelry, and I tried to grab. I was going forward into the altar to try and grab what Subhadramani was wearing around neck. And as I was going forward to take Subhadramani's jewelry, Lord Balaram, he gave me a big slap on my face. And it was so painful, and that's why I'm coming running to you. So this is another example of children. Whenever they're in trouble, whenever something happens in life, first thing that comes to mind, immediately they go straight running towards their mother for help. Another example is in Krishna book we see with Krishna's children. When they were very young, they would just go out into the forest and they'll play with their friends. And one time, while Krishna's children are playing in the forest, they come across a particular well. And in the well, at the bottom of the well, there's this lizard stuck at the bottom of the well. And Krishna's children immediately, they start feeling compassion for this lizard. And they try to take out the lizard from the bottom of the well, but they can't do it because they're just little children and the well is so deep. So then what do they do? Immediately they go running back to the palace in Dwarka, and they go to their father, Krishna, and then tell Krishna that, Krishna, or Dad, today we're going out playing and we found this big well, and at the bottom of the well there's this poor lizard, and the lizard is stuck, and he's suffering so much at the bottom of the well. Can you please come and help us take the lizard out of the well? And then Krishna comes and he stretches his arm, and then he takes out the lizard. And that lizard was, as we know, the famous story of King Niga. That's where Krishna, he delivers this king. So like this is the natural nature of children, that anytime they have some problem, any difficulty in life, the first instinct is to go run towards their parents. In the same way the Shastras explain that we should all become like innocent, little, simple children of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, our Supreme Mother and Father. And just like little innocent children, whenever anything comes in their life, the first reaction, immediately by instinct, they go running towards their mother. In the same way, we should condition ourselves, train ourselves that whenever anything comes in our life, we should immediately go straight running to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. And just like little children, they don't hide anything in their heart. Whatever is going on in their lives, whatever is going on in their minds or in their hearts, they just openly reveal to their mother without hiding anything. When the child grows up, obviously, when they go into the teenage phase, then, they hide things from their parents. Some things they reveal, some things they keep, they have their own personal life. But when the children are very small, they're very innocent, they don't hide anything from their parents. Whatever is going on in their lives, whatever problems they have, whatever is going on in their minds, whatever feelings they have in their heart, they just openly reveal to the mother and father. In the same way, the Shastras explain that whatever is going on in our hearts, we can come and openly reveal to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. They're our supreme mother and father, they're our best friend. Just like among two friends, there's no hiding anything. Our best friend will reveal whatever is going on in our heart to them. So in the same way, when we come in front of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, we don't have to hide anything. Whatever things we're going through in our life, whatever we're feeling, we can reveal to them and we can pray to them. And anytime any difficulty, problem comes, just like little children go running to their mother, in the same way we should come running to the lotus feet of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, and we can offer prayers and tell them, this is what's happening in my life. Please guide me, please tell me how I should overcome this. In Vrindavan, when Srila Prabhupada, he established the famous Krishna Balram temple, a very unique temple in Vrindavan. Previous to this, there were just deities of Radha Krishna in different temples in Vrindavan, but Prabhupada, he established these very unique deities of Krishna and Balram, which is very rare to see. After establishing the Krishna Balram temple, Prabhupada, he told his disciples, he told his devotees, that anytime you have any problem in your life, all you have to do is simply come, bow down in front of Krishna Balram, and you just simply offer this prayer, that my dear Lords, Krishna Balram, my dear Sir, this is the problem I have, please help me fix it. You just offer this prayer and Krishna Balram will solve whatever difficulty, whatever situation you're going in your life. The Shastras also explain that this relationship between the conditioned souls, the jivas and the Supreme Lord, how that's like the relationship of little children and the Supreme Parent. The same relationship is also there between the disciple and the spiritual master. So just like Krishna, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, they are supreme mother and father, in the same way the Shastras explain that the spiritual master, representative of Supreme Lord, the relationship he has with his disciples is also of a very similar nature. The spiritual master is also like our most loving father. So whenever we're in trouble, either we go running to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, or we can go running to Srila Prabhupada or to our respective spiritual masters. When we say go running towards a spiritual master, doesn't mean that every day we call up a spiritual master, every day send him an email, because they have so many disciples, so many things to do. But when the Shastras say we should take shelter of the Guru, we should take shelter of the spiritual master, it means taking shelter of the spiritual masters or the Guru's instructions. So whatever instructions the spiritual master has given us, whatever instructions we're remembering or getting by listening to our spiritual master's classes, we should take shelter of those instructions at the time of need. Just like the analogy is given in Bhagavatam, that our position is such that we're all stuck at the bottom of a deep dark well of material existence. So this is the precarious condition of all conditioned souls in this material world. That imagine a big dark well, and it's very deep, and we're stuck right at the bottom, and there's no hope for us to get out of this deep dark well of material existence. The only hope for rescue from the dark well of material existence is if someone from outside puts a rope down the well. And then if we grab onto that rope, then we can be pulled out of the well. So what is that rope? And who is that person giving the rope? The person giving the rope to help us come out is the spiritual master, Prabhupada explains in Bhagavatam. And what is the rope? The rope is the spiritual master's instructions. So only if we tightly hold on to the rope, only if we tightly hold on to the instructions of the spiritual master, can we be pulled out of material existence? Can we be pulled out of the deep dark well of material existence? So this is what's the meaning of taking shelter of the Guru. So anytime we face any problem or challenge in our life, it doesn't mean that we immediately write an email. Every day you write an email to your guru, or every day you call up your spiritual master. What it means is we take shelter of his instructions. We remember what our spiritual master has taught us, and by taking shelter of those instructions, we can get out of any difficulty we are going through in our spiritual lives. That's why it's so important to daily listen to classes of Srila Prabhupada or of our spiritual masters, because in those instructions is present solutions to whatever challenges or difficulties we're going through in our life. So just like little children, they go running to their mother for help, in the same way the Shastras explain, whenever any challenges, problems we face, we should immediately come, take shelter of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, or take shelter of our spiritual master. Another example, my Guru Maharaj, I was sharing in one of his classes, he was explaining how when Prabhupada was in India, there was one particular disciple of Srila Prabhupada who, whenever Prabhupada will move to some other, like in India, there's so many cities, Prabhupada will stay at one particular temple, like Bombay, for a week or so, then he will go move to Delhi, then he will go move to another city. In this way, Prabhupada would travel in different cities all around India. And in different temples, there will be different devotees who will be living in that temple permanently, doing their particular service. But there was this one particular disciple of Srila Prabhupada who just wanted Prabhupada's physical association. So instead of taking responsibility and staying put in one temple and offering his services, taking responsibility and offering services to a particular temple where he was situated, he would just run whimsically from one temple to another. Prabhupada was in Bombay, immediately this devotee will leave Delhi and fly to Bombay and come into Prabhupada's room and say, Prabhupada, I'm here, Prabhupada, I'm here. And then Prabhupada will leave Bombay, go to another city, then again this devotee would leave that temple and then again go catch a train to the other temple and then say, Prabhupada, I'm here, Prabhupada, I'm here. So in this way, whichever city Prabhupada was going to, this devotee, he was just whimsically leaving his services in the particular temple and just going running from this city to that city. Wherever Prabhupada was going, he would just follow Prabhupada here and there. Not staying at a particular temple and offering, taking responsibility, offering his services for a particular yatra. So in this way, very whimsically, he was just running behind Prabhupada, wherever Prabhupada was going. And Prabhupada tolerated for some time. Then after some time, when this devotee comes running into his darshan and saying, Prabhupada, I'm here, Prabhupada, I'm here, I'm your servant, Prabhupada, then Prabhupada, he instructs this disciple by telling him what? By explaining to this devotee that, don't you know that in all our temples around the world, we have my murti. And don't you know that my murti is non-different from me. And I am physically present. I am actually present in my murti in all the temples around the world. There is no difference between me and my murti. In this way, Srila Prabhupada instructs this particular disciple and tells him that to get my physical association, you don't have to run from temple to temple. Wherever I'm going, you don't have to travel and just run behind me. You can get the same association, you can get my same physical association by taking shelter of my murti, which is there, present in all the temples around the world. So this particular devotee, he told my Guru Maharaj, he was talking to this particular god brother of his during the early days of ISKCON. And this particular devotee, he narrates this instruction by Srila Prabhupada to him, to my Guru Maharaj. So my Guru Maharaj, he hears this story. And my Guru Maharaj, he explains that at this particular time in his spiritual life, he was going through some difficulty in his mind. He was going through some challenge in his spiritual life. Something was really troubling his mind. So when my Guru Maharaj, he heard this instruction given by Srila Prabhupada to his god brother, how Srila Prabhupada is physically present in his murti in all the temples around the world. After hearing this, my Guru Maharaj explains, for the next 3 days, every day, my Guru Maharaj used to come in front of the murti of Srila Prabhupada. I think this was either in Los Angeles or New York, where my Guru Maharaj was based at that time. And every day, for 3 days in a row, my Guru Maharaj would come, offer dandavats to Srila Prabhupada. And my Guru Maharaj says he just used to grovel in front of Srila Prabhupada, like really get down on his knees and intensely pray, asking for Srila Prabhupada to please help him. So he did this day 1, then day 2, again he comes, offers dandavats to Srila Prabhupada, then again grovels and prays intensely to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, I'm going through this difficulty in my mind, please help me get rid of it. Then again, day 3 he comes and again offers obeisances to Srila Prabhupada and again offers intensely, starts groveling in front of Srila Prabhupada, again offers praise to Srila Prabhupada. Then my Guru Maharaj explains, after the 3rd day of offering praise to Srila Prabhupada's Murti, whatever problem, whatever thing he was going through in his mind, just immediately went just like that. Just in a matter of a second, he just disappeared, just like that. So in this way, this is another instance we see of how any problem we have in our spiritual life, just like children go running to their parents, we similarly go running either to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath or we come running to Srila Prabhupada, our spiritual master. And as Srila Prabhupada himself explains, there is no difference between his Murti and Srila Prabhupada himself. We can get the same benefit. So this is one aspect we see in this particular chapter, in the relationship between this Leela between Lord Brahma and Vishnu. What is the problem Brahma is going through? He's just been born and he understands he has to create the whole universe, but he doesn't know how to do it. He doesn't know where to start and how he's supposed to do it. So he's becoming very anxious. So this is one of the prayers he's offering to the Supreme Lord, that please give me the intelligence, please give me the introspection by which how I can do this particular service for your pleasure. Another thing Brahma is going through in his mind is that he's worried, he has this anxiety, he has this fear that while I engage in this service of creating the whole universe, I can so easily get overcome by pride. Generally, if we do something, some very big service, then after completing that great service, we feel a sense of accomplishment that, yes, I did this service, after so many days of hard work, so many weeks and months of hard work, I accomplished this. And then after we accomplish that particular task or service, we feel a sense of pride that, yes, using my endeavor, after so much hard work, I did this, using my skills and talents, my hard work. And then that sense of pride comes. So Brahma, he understands this nature of the conditioned mind, and he understands that pride is one of the greatest anarthas that put an obstacle towards devotion to the Supreme Lord. So Brahma, understanding that, okay, I'll create this whole universe, but after creating, naturally I can easily get overcome by this pride that I'm actually the doer, that I did this, I created the whole universe, I'm the first living entity, all living entities are coming from me. So naturally I can get overcome by pride, and being overcome by pride, I'll forget the lotus feet of my Supreme Lord. So Brahma has this anxiety within his heart. And just like little children, they don't hide anything from their parents. In the same way, Brahma, he doesn't hide this. He has this fear in his heart, but he's openly revealing this fear to his Supreme Father, Krishna or Vishnu. And he's openly telling Vishnu that I have this fear in my heart, that I can get overcome by pride. Please bless me, so while I'm engaged in this service, I don't get overcome by pride. Another thing Brahma explains in his prayers is, again, he reveals what's going on in his mind. Some of the verses Brahma says in his prayers is how he's feeling so much compassion for when he's thinking about or when he's contemplating the situation, the precarious situation of all the conditioned living entities. And Brahma is openly revealing to Krishna or Vishnu that, my heart pains to think of how the conditioned souls in this universe, they will be suffering due to material nature, suffering due to anxieties caused by other living entities, and suffering caused by their mind. And I want to help them, and I want to save them from the conditioned existence in the material world. So in this way, whatever things Brahma is going through in his life, in his mind or in his heart, he's just openly revealing to the Supreme Lord. So in the same way, we should do the same thing when we come and take darshan of Sri Sri Radha Gopinath. There's nothing we have to hide. Whatever things we're going through in our life, whatever emotions we have, we can openly share with Sri Sri Radha Gopinath or share with Srila Prabhupada and beg for their blessings, beg for their mercy. Just like Brahma, he's been assigned to do a particular service and he's begging for Krishna's empowerment. He's begging for intelligence from the Supreme Lord. Please give me the intelligence, please give me the empowerment by which I can do this service nicely for your pleasure. At the same time, he's begging for Krishna's blessings. Please bless me so while I'm doing this service, I don't get materially contaminated. Because while engaged in material creation, I can get overcome by the mode of passion. Then being overcome by the mode of passion, I can forget you and I can get overcome by pride. So Prabhupada explains in today's purport and text that we should all follow in the footsteps of Lord Brahma and offer prayers as Lord Brahma is praying. So whenever any service comes to us, first thing we should do, as Brahma is doing, before starting that service, we should immediately offer a prayer to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, that I've been assigned to this service. Please bless me with the intelligence, empowerment, with the necessary, mindsets and abilities, so I can do this service nicely for your pleasure and for the pleasure of the devotees. And just like Lord Brahma is praying, that please bless me, that while I'm doing this service, I don't get materially contaminated, I don't get overcome by mode of passion, or I don't get overcome by pride, and so on and so forth. In the same way, this is another prayer we can offer to the Supreme Lord, that, okay, I'm doing this service for your pleasure, please give me intelligence to do this nicely, and please also bless me, that while I do this service, I don't get overcome by pride. I don't start thinking that, yes, I am doing this service, but I see everything as your causeless mercy. So this is our responsibility from our side. This should be what you should be doing. And from Krishna's side, so from the children's side, they go take shelter of the parents. And from the parents' side, what do? They give us shelter. And that's what we're seeing Krishna doing in these last couple of verses. Brahma is coming, praying intensely to Garbhodakashayi Vishnu that I have this anxiety, I have this problem, I have to create the universe, I don't know how I'm going to do it, and while I do it, I can get overcome by pride, please help me. So this is Brahma's playing the role of a little child, coming to his parents for help. Then how does Krishna as the most loving father reciprocate? The first thing Krishna tells Lord Brahma in response is, this is in text 29, the Supreme Personality Godhead then said, so this is the first thing Krishna says to Lord Brahma after hearing out his prayers. O Brahma, O depth of Vedic wisdom, be neither depressed nor anxious about the execution of creation. What you are begging from me has already been granted before. So the first thing Krishna does, just like a loving father or a mother, when the child is coming to the parent crying in distress, the first thing the parents do is that they calm down the child. They pat the child, say, relax, it's okay, I'm here, everything will be all right, relax. So that's the first thing a loving parent would do, is first relax the child, make him feel comfortable, make him feel that everything's okay, no need to cry, no need to be in anxiety. And that's exactly what Krishna is doing as a loving father to Lord Brahma. What is Krishna saying? Oh Brahma, be neither depressed nor anxious. Forget, don't be afraid, don't be depressed, don't be anxious. It's okay, I'm here, I will help you, it's okay. So that's the very first thing Krishna tells to Lord Brahma, to assure him that that's okay, I'm here. Then in the course of the next couple of verses, Krishna, he answers and all of Lord Brahma's prayers. Lord Brahma was asking for the intelligence to do creation. Krishna assures him, don't worry, I am situated within your heart. From within your heart, I will give you all the intelligence, I will give you all the skill and empowerment needed to create the universe. Don't worry about this. And Brahma has this fear that I'll get overcome by passion, I'll get overcome by pride. Then again, Krishna assures Lord Brahma, don't worry, my blessings are upon you. For the rest of your existence, you won't get overcome by my illusory energy. And material contamination won't come over you. Pride won't overcome you. You have my blessings, and you'll be safe. So in this way, Krishna, he gives assurance to Lord Brahma. So in this way, we see this perfect reciprocation, just like between little innocent children and their parents. In the same way, the same relationship is there between the devotees, between the conditioned souls, and the Supreme Father, Krishna, and the Supreme Mother, Srimati Radharani. And we see this in display in this particular section of Bhagavatam between Lord Brahma and Garbhodakashayi Vishnu. And in today's verse and purport, another aspect between this relationship between the conditioned souls and their Supreme Father Krishna, Prabhupada explains here that the Lord certainly fulfills all desires in regard to transcendental loving service, but he cannot fulfill the whims of non-devotees, even when such casual devotees offer him the best of prayers. And today's translation is, any human being who prays like Brahma and who thus worships me shall very soon be blessed with the fulfillment of all his desires, for I am the Lord of all benediction. So one of the nature of children is that they have different desires, and whatever things they want in life, they come running to their parents that, I would like this, I would like that, can we buy this, that candy, can we buy that chocolate, or can I have that game to play, can I have this game to play? So they see their parents as their maintainers. Anything they want, they just go to their parents and ask, can we have this, can we have that, I would like this, I would like that. So in the same way, in today's verse it's explained that Krishna is Vara Ishvaraha. Vara Ishvara means the Lord of all benediction. And it's explained in Bhagavatam by Prabhupada that it is Krishna's nature to give benedictions, to give boon to his devotees. And this is one of the hobbies of the Supreme Lord. Krishna, he likes to give benedictions. Krishna, he likes to give boons to his devotees. Krishna, he likes to fulfill the desires of his devotees. So just like parents, they try and fulfill all the desires and wants of the children, in the same way, the Supreme Lord, he takes pleasure in giving boons to his devotees. He takes pleasure in fulfilling the desires of all of his devotees. But there is a catch, which Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport. Although Krishna, he is said to fulfill all the desires of his devotees, Prabhupada writes here, the Lord certainly fulfills all desires in regard to transcendental loving service. But he cannot fulfill the whims of non-devotees, even when such casual devotees offer him the best of prayers. So children, they'll have many different desires. But some desires children will have won't be good for their lives. And if the children, they want something which is not for their good, then the parents, no matter how much the children nag or cry out, the parents won't give that to the children. Understanding this is not good for my children, this will harm their health, harm their minds, and this is not good for the growth. So yes, the parents have this mood of wanting to satisfy the children, parents have this mood of giving benedictions, fulfilling the wants and the desires of the children, but if the children, they want something which is not for their good, their parents won't satisfy those desires. So in the same way, Prabhupada explains that yes, Krishna is all merciful, yes, Krishna will fulfill all those desires, but he'll only fulfill those desires which are favorable for our spiritual lives. If we have particular desires which will harm our spiritual growth, which will make us go backwards in our spiritual lives, then Krishna, he won't fulfill those. Just like a loving, considerate parent, they wouldn't give something to the children which will be of harm to the child. So in the same way, Krishna, when he understands that we have certain desires which will cause harm to ourselves, Krishna, he won't fulfill that. So this is the mercy of the Supreme Lord. This isn't the strict nature. Krishna is the all-merciful parent. And if we want something which is not good for our spiritual life, Krishna not fulfilling that, that's his mercy. So why would the parent give something to children which will harm them? Then one would immediately criticize the parents. How come you're giving this to your children? This will ruin their lives, So in the same way, same thing for Krishna. Krishna, he can't stand to see any trouble in his devotees' lives. So sometime out of ignorance, his devotees might want something which is not good for themselves. And Krishna, understanding that, he won't fulfill it. Or it's explained by Prabhupada, Krishna will fulfill it in a way in which we won't ask for that thing anymore. Just like with the example of Dhruva Maharaj. What was his desire? He wasn't a pure devotee at the start. At the start, he was going to the forest and he was worshipping Vishnu with the mood or the intention of, I want to get revenge against my stepmother Suruchi. And how will I get revenge? I will get a kingdom which is even greater than my grandfather or great-grandfather. And his great-grandfather was Lord Brahma. So he wanted a kingdom even greater than that of Lord Brahma. So, talk about material desires. We all have tiny material desires, maybe a nice car or a nice house, this or that. That's nothing in comparison to Dhruva Maharaj's material desire. Dhruva Maharaj's material desire was so great, he wanted a kingdom, he wanted opulence, even greater than that of Lord Brahma. And Lord Brahma's abode is the topmost planetary system in this whole world. So he was asking for something which is technically impossible. So this was how great Dhruva Maharaj's material desire was. But one good thing he did was, he took shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, he took shelter of Narad Muni, and he worshipped the Supreme Lord. That's why the Bhagavatam says, Akama sarva kamava moksha kama udaradi Tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. That whether you have mature desires, whether you desire to get liberated, or whether you have no desires at all, you're just simply satisfied with serving me, regardless of what your situation is, you come and worship the Supreme Lord, and you'll be benefited. So it's not that only pure devotees, they should take shelter of Krishna, only those who are satisfied with service, they should take shelter of Krishna. No, the Bhagavatam says, no matter what your situation is, you have desires, you don't have desires, you desire liberation, this or that, regardless of what your consciousness is, you come take shelter of Krishna, Krishna will take care of you. So Dhruva Maharaj is a classical example of a person or a devotee who is worshipping Krishna with mature desire. But, again, as we see, when a loving parent, he won't fulfill something which will be detrimental for his children. Or, Prabhupada explains, Krishna will, if the devotee, he wants something which is not good for him, Krishna will fulfill it in a way in which he won't ask for it again. He will give up the mature desire. Just like Prabhupada, he gives the example of one of his own little children. Prabhupada, during his family life, one of his sons, he wanted to touch the fan spinning. And I think in those days, there wasn't this cage, this protective cage around the fan. So anyone can just go and touch the fan. So Prabhupada's son, being, in the ignorance of a little child, he was seeing the fan spinning and he had this desire to touch the fan. And Prabhupada repeatedly told him, no, don't touch, you'll harm yourself, this is not good for you. But the child wanted to touch. Then Prabhupada, seeing the insistence of his child, what Prabhupada did, he put the fan on very low speed and he made the child touch. Okay, go touch. Then putting the fan on low speed, his child touched it and then immediately he got harmed, but not fully harmed because the fan was on low speed. But the child, he learned the lesson and then he didn't have that desire again to touch the fan. So same thing Krishna will do. Either he won't fulfill the desire or he'll fulfill the mature desire in a way in which we don't want that desire anymore. We will overcome that mature desire and will come take shelter of his lotus feet. So that's what happened with Dhruva Maharaj. That Dhruva Maharaj, in the course of his worship of the Supreme Lord, in the course of him following the instructions of his spiritual master Narad Muni, initially he had this desire to attain a kingdom greater than Lord Brahma, but after finishing his service, after meeting Vishnu, taking darshan of Vishnu, he immediately forgets that desire which he had. At the start, beginning of his spiritual life, he had this desire. I want opulence greater than Lord Brahma. But he engaged in service, Krishna made him forget that desire. Then he didn't want that anymore. He said, my dear Lord, I'm simply satisfied by taking darshan of your lotus feet. I don't want anything. I'm just simply happy, just taking darshan of your lotus feet. I'm just simply happy in your service. If there's anything you want to offer to me, you please bless me with the association of your devotees. You please bless me with your devotional service. I don't want anything else. So this is the transformation Krishna mercifully helps his devotees go through. So just like Dhruva Maharaj, all of us, we have different mature desires in our hearts. But just like Krishna, he helped Dhruva Maharaj overcome that mature desire. So in the same way, we just go on practicing devotional service, go on chanting around sincerely, daily hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Krishna Katha, and whatever anarthas, desires we have in our heart, Krishna will help us overcome that until a day will come when we only desire to serve Shri Shri Radha Gopinath and nothing else. So in this way, Krishna, just like a loving parent, he so mercifully reciprocates with his loving devotees. Another aspect of the parent is that when the children is doing something bad, the parent will chastise his children to correct them, understanding that if I don't correct my children at this point, then this will cause problems in the future for my children. So, even though it's not something the parent likes to do, the parent doesn't like to chastise or correct, but still out of duty, the parent corrects the child, or punishes the child, or chastises the child, understanding the long-term well-being of the child. And we see that with Damodar Leela, Mother Yasoda taking a stick to chastise Krishna, because what's Mother Yasoda's mood? She's not seeing Krishna as the Supreme Lord, she's seeing Krishna as a darling son, and she's thinking that if Krishna behaves like this now, and if I don't correct him, what will happen to him when he grows up, when he becomes a teenager, when he grows up, he'll continue this mischief. This isn't good for his future. So as a mother, it's my duty to correct Krishna so he behaves nicely and properly. So this is Mother Yasoda's mood. So Krishna, he has the same mood with his devotees also. So when Krishna sees that his devotees are getting a bit sidetracked, sometimes Krishna, he will chastise or punish his devotees in a way they overcome the anartha. And this we see in Govardhan Lila, which we celebrated yesterday. So in Govardhan Lila, how do we see this? Who is the child of Krishna who is behaving naughtily? That's Indra. So Indra, he is one of Krishna's devotees, he is one of Krishna's loving children, and Krishna is noticing that my child, Indra, he is getting too much overcome by pride and arrogance, thinking that he is the Lord and the Master of this universe. And Krishna, he understands that if I don't correct this anartha in my loving child, this will cause so much problem for him in the future. So just like a parent, when he sees a child is doing something wrong, the parent out of love tries to correct that to protect the child from a future which will be more harmful or more troublesome. So in the same way, Krishna is seeing that Indra is getting overcome by so much pride. As a loving father, if I don't correct him, in the future he'll go on making offenses to other devotees. He'll do so much damage to himself and others. So Krishna, as a loving father, taking compassion, he corrects that particular anartha in his loving child, Indra. And that's what we see in Govardhan Puja. So one of the reasons why Prabhupada explains Krishna, he enacts Govardhan Lila, is simply for the sake of helping his devotee, Indra, overcome the pride, overcome this anartha or this demon he's going through. So we have that famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, Paritranaya sadhunam, vinasaya duskritam, dharma samstapanataya, sambhavami yuge yuge. In this verse, Krishna explains to Arjuna that I come to please my devotees, I come to deliver my devotees, and I come to annihilate all miscreants. So these miscreants that Krishna comes to annihilate is not just externally big demons like Ravana or Hiranyakashipu, but these demons also includes demons within the hearts of conditioned souls, demons within the hearts of his devotees. So when Krishna, he sees a particular demon taking prominence within the heart of his devotees, then Krishna comes and he destroys that demon within the heart of his devotees to protect him from causing further damage to his spiritual life. And that's what we see in Govardhan Lila. Krishna is seeing that one of his children, Indra, he's getting overcome by this demon of pride. And Krishna can see into the long term. If I don't stop, if I don't kill this demon of pride in Indra's heart, he will harm himself and he will harm other people also. So then Krishna, he mercifully enacts this Govardhan Lila to kill this demon, to annihilate this miscreant of pride, which is in the heart of Indra. So many times, sometimes when we go through difficulties in our life, it could be because of this. It could be because maybe we become too proud or arrogant. And Krishna, just like he's trying to teach Indra a lesson, in the same way, maybe Shri Radha Gopinath also trying to teach us a lesson through this way also. So it's said that this anartha of pride is one of the greatest obstacles to devotional service. Because when one gets overcome by pride and arrogance, one forgets the lotus feet of Shri Radha Gopinath. Because one starts thinking, I'm the doer, I'm doing everything, and one immediately forgets the lotus feet of Shri Radha Gopinath. And that's the worst possible situation to be in. It is Prabhupada explains that it is the desire of all devotees to always remember Krishna and to never forget him. And that's the conclusion of all the Shastras. There's a verse in the Puranas that explains like this, that Smartavya satatam Vishnu, vismartavya na jatuchet, sarva veda nisedashur etayor eva kinkara. So this verse explains that always remembering Krishna and never forgetting Krishna. All the rules, all the regulations, all the instructions of all the different Shastras are servants of these two instructions. So all the instructions, all the verses in all the Upanishads, in all the Puranas, in the Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita, so on and so forth. All the instructions which are present in all the innumerable Shastras written by Vyasadeva, all of those instructions are servants of these two instructions, which is to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna. Now what happens when we get overcome by pride? We forget Krishna. And we start thinking about ourselves. Now I am so great, I am doing this, I am doing that. So that's why pride is said to be one of the most harmful anarthas for us. So how to overcome this? We follow in the footsteps of Brahma. One of the things Brahma also prays for in his prayers is, please, as we were discussing, please bless me that I don't get overcome by pride. So this is one of the prayers we can offer to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. That thank you for blessing me with so many opportunities to serve you. And please bless me that while I'm engaged in this service, I can do the service in a nice, humble mood and mentality, in the mood of servant of the servant. And please bless me that I don't get overcome by pride and ignorance. Okay, we'll stop here. Over time, Gantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jaguru Shri Prabhupada ki jai, entire Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.